Shalom, family. Greetings to the 12 tribes of Yisrael scattered abroad. I'm going to read from 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Purge out, therefore, the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. There is a doctrine saying that after the death and resurrection and ascension of Yahushua HaMashiach, that Israelites are no longer required to keep the feast days and appointed times of Yahuwah. And there is another doctrine also saying that since Yahushua HaMashiach was the Passover sacrifice for Yisrael, that Israelites no longer need to sacrifice Passover lambs. I'm going to address both of these issues in this video. Matthew chapter 5. We have Yahushua HaMashiach quoted as saying, "Think not that I am come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the Torah, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." According to what is said here, Yahushua makes it very clear that he did not come to do away with the Torah. In fact, he said there will be no change in the Torah. One jot or one tittle will not pass away from the Torah. And of course he says till heaven and earth pass. And we know that that has not happened. So according to the words of Yahushua, the Torah still stands. Wayikra, or Leviticus chapter 23. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, "Speak unto the children of Yisrael, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of Yahuwah, which you shall proclaim to be set apart convocations, even these are my feasts. These are the feasts of Yahuwah, even set apart convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons." Remember, Yahushua HaMashiach said that nothing will pass away from the Torah. And we're reading from the Torah here in Leviticus. And here Yahuwah gives the instructions about his appointed times. And the word for convocation is the Hebrew word mikra. Mikra. When we look at the definition of mikra, it means convocation, convoking, reading, a calling together, sacred assembly, a rehearsal. So even though we might be in diaspora, scattered to the four corners of the earth, we as Israelites are to rehearse the feast days as best that we can in our diaspora. We might not be able to do everything that is required in the Torah, but we should do everything that we are able to do. Zechariah chapter 14. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuwah Zebaoth, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuwah Zebaoth, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, and have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith Yahuwah will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So we here have Yahuwah speaking through the prophet Zechariah, saying that in the Messianic kingdom, when Yahuwah restores the kingdom of Yisrael in the future, that there shall be the celebration of the Feast of Tabernacles, or Sukkot. And of course, this is after the death and resurrection and ascension of Yahushua HaMashiach. So obviously, the feast days are not done away with. And in fact, the prophet goes on to say that all the nations will be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, not just the Israelites. First Corinthians chapter 5. Your glorying is not good. Know you not that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Mashiach our Passover is sacrificed for us. So the second issue that some people mention is that we don't need to keep the feast days because Yahushua died for us. So we're going to see what Paul says in his letter written to the Israelites in Corinth. He says, therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So of course, Shaul or Paul wrote this after the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach. And he tells the Israelites in Corinth that they are to keep the feast. Now we're going to look at the prophet Ezekiel, where Yahuwah gave him a vision of the future temple that will be built in Jerusalem. Chapter 45. Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, in the first month, in the first day of the month, you shall take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the posts of the house, and upon the four corners of the settle of the altar, and upon the posts of the gate of the inner court. And so you shall do the 7th day of the month for every one that errs, and for him that is simple, so shall you reconcile the house. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten, and upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. In 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish daily the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a meat offering of an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah. So this is a prophecy of the future temple in Jerusalem. And Yahuwah says through the prophet Ezekiel that in the future There shall be Passover, feast celebration. There shall be sacrifices of animals. There shall be priests, and so on and so forth. So the idea that we do not do these things, we do not rehearse the feast days after the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach is not found in the Bible. Shemot, or Exodus chapter 12. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 16. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For you came forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that you may remember the day when you came forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. So this is to be a memorial. And even if we cannot fulfill all the requirements in our captivity, we are to do what we can do. And we cry out and we pray to Yahuwah for our freedom so that we can, in the future, fulfill all His laws and commandments without being impeded by being in the lands of our enemies. So we are to keep this memorial, and when we look at the meaning of the Pesach, or the Passover lamb, before the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach, the Passover sacrifice was a foreshadowing of what Yahushua HaMashiach would do for Yisrael. After his death and resurrection, the Passover sacrifice is a memorial of what he did do for Yisrael. Like the memorial of Hanukkah or dedication, it is a memorial of some great event that happened to the Israelites that is to be remembered from generation to generation. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click the like button and subscribe and be notified of future videos. Shalom, family.